Help me reach my goal and subscribe. And hit the bell icon.
Chapter 68-91. Charlie smiled and said, "I killed all your men. And now the bodies are piled up on the ground outside." The leader of the men in black widened his eyes and roared in disbelief. "How is it possible? They are all well-trained mercenaries. How can you kill them all quietly by yourself?" Although the leader of the men in black was unwilling to believe Charlie's words, he knew very well in his heart that all his men had lost contact. And the man just now was beheaded at the door. This proved that what Charlie said was true. However, he did not believe that his men died at the hands of Charlie alone. He speculated that Charlie must have accomplices outside. At this moment, he did not shoot at Charlie immediately, but pondered for a moment in his heart, and said to Charlie, "Brother, we are all here to make a living. There is no need to be too serious. You have killed so many of my brothers, I admit it, and I will not make any excessive demands. As long as you can let us go, I can hand over these hostages to you intact." Charlie said lightly, "You are not qualified to negotiate conditions with me." The leader of the men in black said with a gloomy expression, "Brother, this is a bit inhumane, right? If you really want to fight to the death. If I can't survive, I will drag these people down with me. Our guns don't have eyes. I see that you know these people. Do you want to collect their bodies?" Charlie sneered. "You are the one who collects the bodies for your men." After that, he suddenly waved his hand and shouted, "Thunder!" The next second, the whole bar was covered with dark clouds. The layers of black clouds covered the entire ceiling in an instant. There was lightning and thunder, as if people had suddenly come to a height of thousands of meters, and watched the thunderstorm up close. At this time, Charlie no longer planned to pretend in front of these people. Whether it was these mercenaries pretending to be members of the Cataclysmic Front, or Hamid, Tawana, and Bertnard, he didn't want to deliberately hide his true strength anymore. He had to make these people completely controllable and completely submissive to himself, so that he could not only perfectly solve today's affairs, but also, these three people would be completely under his control in the future. He had just killed so many people. Without the cooperation of these three people, it would be impossible to conceal the truth. Whitehorse Island would not be able to properly dispose of dozens of bodies. Moreover, if these people suddenly disappeared, Blackwater would definitely try every means to investigate the reason. Moreover, these people, including his father-in-law and mother-in-law, all had memories of the terrorist attack, although it was not difficult to erase them one by one. If the matter could not be concealed, erasing their memories would be meaningless. On the contrary, Blackwater would find clues when it secretly investigated. Therefore, he did not intend to hide this matter. He wanted these people to cooperate with him. Not only did he want to perfectly solve the follow-up of this matter, but he also wanted to put all the blame on Blackwater. The company was now colluding with the opposition, and was in collusion with them. This time, Blackwater must be ruined worldwide. At the same time, it also gave the opposition a strong warning so that they would not dare to have any bad thoughts against Hamid and the Cataclysmic Front from now on. So, when the dark clouds filled up on the ceiling of the bar and the lightning flashed and rolled between the ceilings, Charlie looked at the leader of the men in black and said coldly, "Watch out, I will only give you one chance." Chapter 68-92. The man in black was trembling with fear. and had no idea how Charlie did all this, let alone what he was going to do. At this moment, Charlie raised his hand and pointed to his feet. Then, the lightning and thunder in the ceiling suddenly gathered into a powerful lightning. With a bang, it struck the wooden floor at his feet and directly punched a large hole in the floor like a wash basin. The air was also full of the smell of burning wood. The leader of the men in black felt that all the hairs on his body were shaken up by this lightning. Others also looked at Charlie in amazement. They never thought that there would be someone in this world who could control lightning. Tawana and Hamid knew that Charlie was very powerful. But they never dreamed that he could be so powerful to such a magical degree. At this moment, the leader of the men in black finally realized that the young man in front of him was not at the same level as himself, and was not even in the same world. In the face of such a powerful force, he had no chance of winning. So, he decisively threw away his pistol, knelt on the ground with a plop, and said devoutly, "Mr. Wade, I didn't recognize the Taishan mountain and bumped into you. Naturally, I don't deserve to die. But considering that I haven't made a big mistake, I hope you can give me a chance to make amends." After that, he quickly turned around and said to the few remaining men, "You be 5 tards. Hurry up and put down your guns. Kneel down and beg for forgiveness like Mr. Wade." Those men came to their senses, threw away their guns, and knelt down with a plop. Charlie nodded and said calmly, "I like to communicate with people who know the current situation." After that, he asked the leader, "Tell me everything you know in detail." The leader of the men in black said respectfully, "Mr. Wade, my real name is Markue. I am an Australian with a mixed blood of Chinese and Japanese. I joined Blackwater 10 years ago, and am a level 7 mercenary, mainly responsible for affairs in the Southern Hemisphere." Charlie asked, "What does a level 7 mercenary mean?" Markue explained, "Mr. Wade, Blackwater has a very strict promotion system for the convenience of internal management. Combat positions are divided into 10 levels from 1 to 10. Level 10 mercenaries are the strongest. The same is true for management positions. But management positions are not called level mercenaries. They start with M, from M1 to M10. Charlie frowned and said, "Why does this system sound very similar to those internet companies?" "That's right," Markue said, "the company has been making management reforms over the years. And now it basically has the structure of a large multinational company." Charlie asked again, "As an Australian, you are also responsible for the Southern Hemisphere business. Why were you assigned here? The Maldives is generally a Northern Hemisphere country, right?" Markue hurriedly said, "Mr. Wade, you don't know that most of Blackwater's mercenaries are of European, American, and African descent. And there are relatively few Asians. This time, Blackwater has specially mobilized a group of Asians from all over the world. So I was temporarily sent here." Charlie nodded and continued to ask, "Blackwater sent you here to assassinate Commander Hamid, right?" "That's right." Markue nodded heavily and said, "Because the opposition has always been secretly supported by Western governments. The top leaders of Blackwater have long cooperated with the Syrian opposition. At that time, Cataclysmic Front cooperated with the government forces. So they were considered enemies of the opposition. In fact, the two sides had already secretly colluded." Markue explained, "The opposition has 2 goals. One is to kill Hamid and seize his territory, and the other is to drive Cataclysmic Front out of Syria. It just so happens that Blackwater also wants to further strengthen its influence in the Middle East. So after they learned that Hamid came to the Maldives for vacation, they decided to let us pretend to be mercenaries of Cataclysmic Front and create a terrorist attack. We can kill Hamid without anyone noticing and use the terrorist attack to package Hamid's death, and then pour the water of the terrorist attack on Cataclysmic Front. By then, the government will push the United Nations to define Cataclysmic Front as an international terrorist organization. After driving Cataclysmic Front out of Syria, their base in Syria will be handed over to Blackwater. Chapter 68-93. Marquet's words made Charlie realize that the situation in Syria might be much more complicated than he imagined. If it were just the opposition group that came from wild backgrounds, they would definitely not have such a good brain to design such a vicious plan that would kill two birds with one stone. Once the internationally renowned troublemakers got involved, the technical content immediately increased. Fortunately, by chance, he and Hamid chose the same island. Otherwise, if they missed it, Hamid would die today, and Cataclysmic Front would be framed this time as a shareholder and investor of Hamid, and the actual owner of Cataclysmic Front. He would be the one who suffered the most losses. Therefore, Blackwater was simply thinking about his house and car at the same time. If he doesn't teach them a lesson, it would not be enough to make them remember. So, he said to Marquet, "I am giving you a chance to live now. If you cooperate well, I will ensure that you survive today. But if you don't, I will not only kill you, but also, based on your identity, I will find out all your family members and make them suffer together with you." Marquet said in a panic, "Mr. Wade, everyone is responsible for their own actions. You can't hurt my family." Charlie sneered, "FCUKU, everyone is responsible for their own actions. You want to kill Hamid and put the blame on Cataclysmic Front. And you are willing to kill hundreds of tourists. Here. Compared with you, what does it matter if I kill all your clans?" After that, he looked at Hamid and said sternly, "Commander Hamid, these people came for you. Maybe they don't plan to let your two pregnant wives go. If I let you leave here alive, what are you going to do for revenge?" Hamid immediately gnashed his teeth and cursed. "These BA5 tards are insidious and vicious. I will kill all their immediate relatives, regardless of gender, age, or status. Even the fetus in the belly will not be able to survive." Charlie looked at Marquet and said lightly, "You heard it all. This is the bitter fruit you sowed yourself. You can't blame anyone." Marquet was scared to death. He was not afraid of death, but if his family was really in trouble, he would be terrified. He kowtowed to Charlie and said, "Mr. Wade, don't worry. My life will belong to you in the future. I will do whatever you tell me to do. I only ask you and Commander Hamid not to hurt my family." Charlie said lightly, "Then listen carefully. The first task I give you is to hold your assault rifle and shoot all the bodies of your men outside a few more times." "Ah?" Marquet asked in horror. "Mr. Wade, why do you have to shoot them again?" Charlie smiled calmly. "Because I want to let the whole world know that it was you who killed your men." "Me?" Marquet was even more terrified and blurted out, "Mr. Wade, you are going to kill me." Blackwater will not let me go. They will definitely seek revenge on me and my family. Charlie asked back, Blackwater. Think about it, after the truth comes out. When the world knows that Blackwater is not afraid to secretly carry out terrorist attacks for its own interests, how can they have the courage to retaliate against your family? Ma Kuei's eyes widened. You mean to let me be a tainted witness? That's about right. Charlie said, after everything is ready, I will let Mr. Bernard Arnault seek help from the Maldives officials. Chapter 68-94. At that time, he will tell the Maldives officials and the world that it was you who brought people to the island to carry out terrorist attacks tonight. And he promised you a lot of money in a critical moment in exchange for your temporary defection. And after you defected, you and several of your confidants killed your other men. Ma Kuei cried and said, Mr. Wade. In this way, won't I have to bear the anger of the whole world? Blackwater will not let me go. The Maldives officials will not let me go, and even the world will despise me. Charlie asked back. So what? At least you can still live, and your family can live, otherwise, you will die, your family will die. And you will be disgraced after your death. Because everyone will know that you are the culprit of this terrorist attack. If you cooperate with me, it will give you a good reputation for pulling back from the brink. Bernard raised his hand at this time, hesitating. Mr. Wade, I don't want to be an enemy of Blackwater. Then go to hell. Charlie stared at Bernard and shouted mercilessly. Don't forget, I saved your life today. What qualifications do you have to negotiate with me? Bernard was frightened by Charlie's fierce expression and didn't know how to respond for a moment. Charlie continued in a cold voice. I tell you, I took action today. Firstly, to save my father-in-law and mother-in-law, and secondly to save Hamid and Tawana. You and I have no relatives or friends. And I saved your life because you are useful to me. If you refuse to be used by me, then you can die. After that, Charlie looked at Ma Kuei and asked him. You know what to do, right? Ma Kuei only wanted himself and his family to survive. So he was naturally very diligent at this time and immediately said, Don't worry, Mr. Wade, as long as you say the word. I will immediately shoot this old guy. Bernard was trembling with fear, and quickly waved his hands and said, Don't get me wrong, Mr. Wade, I don't want to express anything wrong. That's what I mean. I want to say that no matter what you ask me to do, I will do my best to cooperate. Charlie looked at him and said in a cold tone, Arnaud, I know that people like you only care about money. But I might as well tell you frankly today that the rejuvenation pill you have been thinking about is made by me. And I am also the boss behind the auction of that pill. The last time I asked you to match some goods, it was just a little punishment for you. But if you make me unhappy, you won't even have the opportunity to match goods in the future. From the moment Charlie summoned the thunder, Bernard guessed that Charlie must be the refiner of the rejuvenation pill. That kind of magic medicine must also require people with great magical powers to refine. And when Charlie said that he wouldn't even have the opportunity to match goods in the future, he was suddenly extremely panicked. So he quickly bowed to Charlie and said, Mr. Wade, I was confused just now. You saved my life. You are my second parent. For you, let alone offending Blackwater. It doesn't matter even if I offend the entire countries and continents. Charlie said lightly, It's useless to say nice things. I'm waiting to see your actual performance. Bernard quickly said. Mr. Wade, please give me a chance to perform well. You can give me instructions for this matter today. Seeing that he was a little bit smart, Charlie said. Go find your employees on duty in the office area and ask them to restore the network service immediately. And then you can call the Maldives authorities to explain the situation. After that, he looked at Tawana and said, Miss Sweet, you have the greatest influence on the internet. I hope you can do me a favor. Tawana stared at him infatuatedly and couldn't wait to say. Mr. Wade, just say it. I can agree to anything. I am not afraid of offending anyone anymore. Chapter 6895. At this moment, Tawana was completely in love with Charlie. He had come down from the sky twice to save her life at the critical moments. And the key was that he was so strong and powerful, which perfectly matched her highest fantasy of a lover, and even far exceeded it. Although she was almost the most successful female singer in the world, she also admired the strength in her bones. But there was no man around her who was worthy of her admiration. And Charlie was the only one. It was precisely because of this that she had completely let herself go at this moment. Her life was saved by him twice. And it was worth offending anyone for him. At this moment, she thought to herself, what is black water? What is it? If they make you angry, I will write a song to diss them. Oh no. I can release an album to diss them. The album name is I Was Almost Assassinated by Black Water. When the time comes, I will not make money from this album. I will authorize it to be distributed for free on music platforms all over the world. If it's not for anything else, just to show Charlie my attitude. Even if he wants me to take up my gun and go to the headquarters of Black Water to die, I will be willing. Seeing Tawana's cooperation, Charlie nodded with satisfaction. This woman may be wild, but she has always had many scandals and a rich love history. It is said that such a person should not be so sentimental. So Charlie is really unsure whether she is willing to cooperate with him. But now it seems that this woman still has some loyalty. So he immediately ordered. When the network is restored later, I will wake up everyone on the scene. They must remember everything before they fell into the coma. So when they ask, Mr. Arno and Miss Sweet should tell them. First, the reason they fell into a coma is because Markway and his men threw drugs that can make people fall into a coma into the bar. Second, the reason you two are not in a coma is because Markway fed you the antidote in order to squeeze more benefits from you. When Charlie said this, Hamid, on the side, hurriedly asked, Brother Wade, what about me? How do I explain that I am not in a coma? Charlie rolled his eyes at him. Not mentioning your name means you don't need to explain. Just pretend to be like everyone else who just woke up from a coma. Yeah. Hamid laughed at himself in embarrassment. Look at my brain, it's far inferior to yours, Brother Wade. Keep going. Charlie nodded and continued to say to Tawana and Bernard. Third, why didn't the terrorists kill, but cooperated with you too? Mr. Arno will explain it. It was you who promised Markway $100 million that made him defect. Bernard immediately said. No problem, Mr. Wade, leave it to me. Charlie looked at Tawana again. Miss Sweet, you have to broadcast the whole process live on your social platform later. You have to let people all over the world know this. A man named Marquet brought mercenaries from Blackwater to Whitehorse Island to carry out a terrorist attack. Fortunately, Mr. Burton had launched a money offensive to save everyone's life. Tawana nodded heavily. Okay, Mr. Wade, I will do as you say.